Fantasy football bros are concerned about a potential Smith reunion, but should Steeler fans be? Also, Justin Fields is all but gone from Chi-Town. Big Deke news. Alright, so yesterday, tight end Jonnu Smith was released from the Atlanta Falcons. Who is Jonnu Smith, and why the hell does this relate to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, first, if you're a fantasy football guy, you probably hate Jonnu Smith because you think he was featured way too much in the Falcons' offense last year and took targets away from the likes of Kyle Pitts and Drake London. But outside of that, he is a solid player, and there is a clear connection to the Steelers. But let's go back to whenever he got into the league. He started out with the Titans, was there from 2017 to 2020. 2020 was his breakout year, where he had 448 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Signed with New England in 2021, was there for 2 years, took a little bit of a downturn in production, was the second tight end up there to Hunter Henry. But when he became available, wanted to reunite with Arthur Smith in Atlanta and had a little bit of a resurgence, as you see here. 50 receptions, 582 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jonnu's connection with Arthur Smith is clear and obvious. Not only were they together last year with the Falcons, but Jonnu's whole tenure up with the Titans involved Arthur Smith. Not only as the offensive coordinator in 2019 and 2020, but Smith was the Titans' tight ends coach for Jonnu Smith's first 2 years up there in Tennessee. But the question is, does Smith work with this current Steelers roster? I'd say maybe. If we could get him on the cheap, I don't think it would hurt at all. He's a pretty decent blocker and has had success in the pass game. We wouldn't be asking him to be the bona fide number 1 tight end. That's for Pat Freiermuth. And he could be an upgrade over Darnell Washington in Smith's scheme, particularly in the passing game. Just overall would provide quality depth, worst case scenario. I don't think a room of Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, or Connor Hayward would get us complaining at all. And we did at some points of last season carry 4 tight ends on the roster. The only downside to Jonnu is he doesn't play any special teams, had 0 special team snaps. And that's something the Steelers obviously look for when you're talking about players that are more on the middle side of the roster, more towards the bottom half of the 53. So I'm for it as long as the contract's low, and that's as long as he doesn't take serious targets away from Pickens, Muth, or Deontay. If that can't be guaranteed by Arthur Smith, then no Jonnu Smith. No, it's not worth the time. But now, more QB talk. We should have an answer at some point in March here, probably by the end of March, of what's going on in this Steelers quarterback room. I get it. We've been talking about it ad nauseum, but let's also be real. We can't get enough of it. And even though yesterday at the Combine, Omar Khan didn't speak, you did have Bears GM Ryan Poles and Bears head coach Matt Eberflus say some things, drop some hints on which way they're leaning on the Justin Fields versus drafting a quarterback conversation. Have a listen.
Do you want to know what you're going to do?
Tomorrow.
No, in all seriousness, though, before free agency?
I would love to know as soon as possible.
Right.
I mean, I would love to know, but I know that's not how the process works. There's sure before free agency would be good. Like I said, I'm also taking, if we were to do something with Justin, like I want to do right by him. And I know, again, living in that gray space, you would want to do something sooner rather than later. But just like I talk about with contracts, it takes 2 teams to figure that out. But at the same time, we're also trying to figure out the draft process as well.
Looking at quarterbacks all my life, and I know what a good quarterback looks like, and what's hard on the defense, and a guy that has the ability to create, a guy that has the ability to throw with timing and accuracy, and the guy that can move the ball on the field when it's critical moments, like on 3rd down, 2-minute, and all those critical moments. So I've always looked at that, and that's been a fun process for me. Yeah, I look at situations. I look at the guys that can operate 3rd down, 2-minute, in the end of the game situations. That to me is that's a separator for me. And then you look at toughness. You got to look, and toughness for a quarterback really is about the mental toughness to be able to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball, and then also have the discernment to be able to move out of the pocket and create when it's necessary. So, and they come on all different shapes and sizes. Yeah, it's always been fun to evaluate those guys.
The quote, "do right by Fields," that means he's gone, right? I guess they didn't necessarily say it, but I think we can read between the lines. And all that fourth quarter stuff the coach was talking about, in my opinion, was he referring to Kenny Pickett? Because that's one of the things I don't know if the Justin Fields stands understand. Like, do you realize that Justin Fields, the metrics are out there. He gets worse in the second half and in the fourth quarter. Like, he's one of the worst in the league. Is that what you're looking for out of your quarterback? No, I actually agree with the Bears coach on this one. When there's adversity, when you have to get off script, do you rise to the occasion in winning time in the second half? And that's something that, like it or not, Kenny Pickett does do. Like, it can't be argued. His quarterback rating, awesome in the fourth quarter. He has how many game-winning drives, right? We got to see it firsthand. So, I don't know, man. You could get enamored with Justin Fields and the athleticism, the talent, the fantasy stats. But I'll take a guy that's going to contribute more to the team winning games. Again, another case for Pickett over Fields, in my opinion. But ultimately, it does look like Fields is going to be out in Chicago. Now the question is, what teams are interested? And there has been some recent buzz pointing to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, does a deal happen throughout the course of this week with the Combine taking place? Or is it going to be another week or two? Who knows? But we know like the top 3 or 4 teams that have been in the mix. I don't know if there's been serious discussions between the GMs, but we know what the talking heads are bringing up. It's the Steelers, it's the Falcons, and it's the Raiders. So we just got to wait and see what happens here. But it does feel like the Bears have made their decision on Fields versus drafting a rookie quarterback. So it's just another piece to the story, just another part of this quarterback saga that we've been talking about a lot here in Pittsburgh. But that's it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Jonnu Smith being released. Should the Steelers actually entertain signing him? And then with Justin Fields, I guess whatever take you had on Steelers getting Justin Fields really hasn't changed. But now that it looks like the Bears will be officially moving on from him, I guess, do you have any change of opinion? But that's it. Stay chilling and peace.